Hey guys, welcome to the Superhero Cut Show where we talk all things Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. It's your boy Stevie Hayes, joined by the obvious, the best, Jerry Comic Cuts. My brother, how are you doing, man? What's going on?
Fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Man,
How are you?
we've been recording a lot this week. It feels like,
I
we're
know.
back to
I
back to
know.
back to back. But there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously we just got out of Deadpool and Wolverine. I saw that you went at 7:30, right?
I went at 7. The
7.
theater messed up, and then had to restart the movie like 20 minutes in.
That's actually
Uh,
wild. That's actually really wild.
it really pisses me off because, like, I wasn't going to ask for my money back, but my time is valuable too, and I don't like my time being wasted. So it really did aggravate me.
100%, 100%. So I had a fun time. So I went with like 9 of my friends. So it was just really funny. I went with Ethan Hahn. So
Nice.
yeah, I sat right
Yeah.
next to him. I got a Wolverine. Let me grab it real quick. Hold on. Look at that.
Fire. Fire.
And,
Oh, that's better than the ones that I saw. The ones that, because the one at my theater, I went to AMC. It was
oh,
the
it had the
one with
mouth.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
like that. It looks ridiculous. That one actually looks cool.
Yeah, this is dope, bro. So, but the cool thing is that you automatically got an extra large popcorn, so you didn't have to. So they didn't put the pop corn in here, which made it a whole lot easier.
Right, and then you don't have this dirty, greasy mess
Right.
in your car on the way home from the movies.
Exactly. But let's talk about this, man. Let's talk about it because you and I saw it. This is the non-spoiler review. If you want spoilers, we're gonna do a video on the cameos, and then next week when I get back in town, which would be next Thursday, we'll do a deeper breakdown on just everything Comic Con. Jerry's gonna be probably doing solos on Comic Con as I'm out of town, but when I get back Thursday, we're gonna go deep and really like it's gonna be longer than usual because it is Comic Con. But for a non spoiler, I think that this movie, a lot of people say that this is the comeback of Marvel film, and I do think this movie for me is a step in the right direction. I think that Marvel regained its confidence in doing risky things. I think that the action was very astute. I was not to mention, I was really impressed, Jerry, with Deadpool's fighting style, like
Me
in
too.
particular. And you can really tell the difference, Jerry, between a Fox and a Disney MCU film. And you can just tell by the way that the fighting style is, and Marvel just lets it be like with Fox. Sometimes I feel like they didn't let Deadpool be a comic book hero. With the MCU, like they're letting him be the comic book hero. And even though some of the quips can be cheesy and sometimes all of the jokes don't land, it just makes me happy that they're going for it. And we'll talk about this when you guys see the next video. But the cameos were super awesome. Um, some of the issues that I do have is pacing. I think that the pacing was probably the main issue.
You always knock on the pacing.
Yes, because pacing is hard to master, but I'm willing to sacrifice that for what we got in this film, if that makes sense. Like it did feel like a little everywhere for me, but it was like a beautiful chaos. You know what I mean? And I see a lot of people like a lot of fans don't like chaotic. You know what I mean? And for me, I enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine being like the chaotic mess that it was. So the ranking that I have for me personally is a 9 out of 10. I do think there's some lacks in the film, but to me, those lacks, it doesn't kill the movie for me. And people say the MCU is back. And Jerry sent me a really good text earlier, and he told me that that like he feels like the back is going to be Brave New World, and I agree with his statement. I think that Deadpool set us up. Like Deadpool throws the alley oop, and I think Brave New World is going to dunk it. You know what I mean? So this is a great movie. I think that the importance in culture for Deadpool kind of means more than what the movie is, if that makes sense. I feel like this is kind of like how Black Panther 1 was a big movie for the culture. You know what I mean? This is what I feel Deadpool is playing for the MCU in the time that it is right now. And I'm happy. So Jerry, the floor is yours, my brother.
This movie, in many ways, is the movie that Thor: Love and Thunder wanted to be, but wasn't. It really balanced the humor with death. Like there's actual death to the film, and you could feel that. There was character development. There was a lot of action. It was hilarious, but it didn't feel like an annoying joke. And I hate the term comic relief. It's like it makes you sound like you need to be relieved by comedy because you can't stand watching a Marvel movie, and it's just a stupid term. And this was, like I love Marvel. I don't need to be relieved of my Marvel, and but the action was great, and in terms of what Stevie was saying, like they kind of let Deadpool, be his comic book self. It was apparent, like immediately when you saw the Deadpool suit, in Deadpool 1 and 2, they muted the color of the Deadpool suit. That was not the case. It is vibrant. Obviously, you all have seen the trailer, so Wolverine finally wore the yellow suit. There were some other interesting things with Wolverine, which I'm not going to get into in this part. But and one of the things that I say a lot, and we spoke about on Tuesday night in terms of like what the Dark Knight did for the comic book movie superhero genre. And I also think that a lot of people don't realize that you know, in the early days of comic book movies, like the late '90s, early 2000s, you couldn't get away. I know that they said that the Fox X-Men movies decided to go with black leather because it was a hit in the Matrix, but I promise you, if they went with a yellow spandex Wolverine suit, that movie would not have sold as many tickets, and it just wouldn't have done it well because people weren't ready for it at the time, and that's the cold hard truth. Um, you know, we're there. People want comic accurate suits. Comic book movies, superhero movies are the hottest blockbusters in town, and Deadpool and Wolverine certainly benefited from that. The TVA was amazing. Ugh, I'm blanking on the actor's name, but the main actor who played Mr. Paradox, if you watch Succession, which you should, Succession is one of the
Great
greatest shows of
show.
all time.
Great show.
Yeah, he plays Tom Wangans in Succession. He was amazing. Actually, a lot of scenes, I think he was like the
He
breakout
bro,
star.
bro, he stole the show. He did.
He really did. This actor, as much as I hate Oscars, he's going to have his day winning an Oscar at some point. But watching the trailer for Brave New World just looks absolutely amazing. I can't wait for it. And there were a lot of things that were said about Deadpool and Wolverine that gave me false expectations going into it. And we have to talk about that. I am not going to get into detail on those things because I don't want to spoil anything. But what I will say is manage your expectations. This movie it's a great movie. It's not a 10 out of 10. It's not one of the best MCU movies of all time. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think you're gonna love it. I think you're gonna have a good time with it. I don't think it tells you as much as people wanted to say as it tells us where the MCU is going. And that's one of the things I think that really threw me off because one of the things that fans like myself included, obviously I'm a fan, want for Marvel movies, which is different. Like when you go in to watch a movie like The Batman and it's not this greater universe thing, you're not interested in where it's going to lead the major story and where other characters are going to come in. But when you go and watch an MCU movie, it's a completely different expectation. And because of that, we judge Marvel movies completely differently than any other IP in the game. And there were a lot of comments that, like this movie is going to tell us a lot about what's to come. I think, I forget exactly what Kevin Feige said, but no, I think someone said if Infinity War is a 9 and Endgame is a 10 in terms of how impactful a movie is on the MCU, this is an 8. I have no idea what that person was talking about.
No, they were right. They were right.
Okay, if you can explain it here, if not, we'll wait to the
After we finish this video, we'll go into it. After we finish
okay,
video,
okay.
I'll break it all down to you.
Yeah.
But
Also,
it's
there,
yeah.
there's a ton of very pleasant, surprising, great big cameos. So if you're like, I'm really not. I don't think cameos make a movie, but a lot of people apparently do. So if you are one of those people that you're like geeking out over the cameos, you are gonna have a lot more fun in this movie than I would, and you might rate it higher than a 7.5.
1000%. I think that I think after you and I talk, I think you understand. But I do think that the word that I use, because honestly, Jerry, like I it took me a while to sit down and sit with it and write it out, and that was when I started to understand things. But the word for Deadpool and Wolverine is position. I think it positioned the Deadpool and Wolverine perfectly. And you are right. And like when I posted my review, a lot of or my out of theater reaction, a lot of people posted that it was mid and that it was trash. And I do think people think that because they set their expectations so high, and people had those type of expectations. But me personally, like as much as we speculate, I always try to go in with an empty mind. You know what I mean? Like I don't try to say this is goated, and I try to go in with like just an empty heart, an empty mind, and let the movie fill in for where it may. But I do think that this film, as I said, I think it positions them perfectly. And to be honest, if Deadpool wasn't an A-list character he is now, if he's not on the Avengers team, shame on you. I think that he can last in a PG-13 film. I think he can, and I think that there's a place for him to raise the power level in the MCU in general. So I am really happy with this film, and I think that I think that this movie plays a more important role that I think will give it credit for in the next 4 to 5 years. And that's kind of fun because like Age of Ultron is one of the most important MCU films of all time, and it isn't talked about enough how important Age of Ultron played into the road to Thanos. And you don't understand how important Age of Ultron is
Until
until you watch Infinity War and Endgame. You know what I mean? Because when you watch Infinity War and Endgame, y'all might hate this, but in the areas of that, it's almost more important than Avengers 1. Age of Ultron. When you look at the bigger picture of how Vision comes in, and then it builds up this thing with Wanda, etc., and then the whole Tony Stark thing, like it starts a theme of things, right? And so I think that that's what Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be in the next 5 years. But all in all, enjoyable movie, and I think that's what fans needed. And shout out to Feige for honoring Fox, like with like doing all these things. So all right. I want to end this episode now because I want to go to the cameo. So please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell, and peace out. We're gonna end this video. The next video you'll see is Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe comic book breakdown, which Jerry is doing. So you'll see that, and then later on tonight we will be posting a cameos, just our thoughts on the cameos. So stay tuned. Okay, we are doing 3 uploads today, so stay tuned. Peace.